Hello friends, welcome to another episode of SUSE OpenSUSE High Availability Cluster, that is PaceMaker, and today is the last episode for cluster implementation requirements which we started earlier. So today we will be covering the rest of the part to complete this. So before starting with that, let me welcome you to my YouTube channel, that is TrichTech Institute, and if you have not subscribed to it yet, please subscribe to it and press the bell icon to get upcoming video notifications so that you can watch them. So if you are following this tutorial, so you know already we have completed overview of H implementation process, then how you can collect the required parameters, then how you can determine the expectations, then how you can plan the storage. So in today's episode we will be talking about difference between 2 node and 2 plus n node cluster, then how you can design the test cases for testing your cluster implementation, and how you can carry on the testing and documentation for this. So let's start with the difference between 2 node and 2 plus n node cluster. So first thing, why does this number of nodes matter, right? So whenever there is a communication break between one or more nodes, so in the cluster what happens, the cluster partition occurs. So suppose like you have a 5 node cluster, so you have a break, so there will be maybe one side, one partition may have 2 nodes, another partition may have 3 nodes. So this kind of breakage happens, and when you have a odd number of nodes, the probability of that will be like one partition may have more nodes compared to other partitions, like as I was giving you the example like 5 nodes. So in that case you may have one partition with 2 nodes, another partition with 3 nodes. So this one partition, it has higher number of nodes. But in case of 2 node cluster, this is a special case, because if you have a partition happen, so both the partitions will have one node each. So in that case you will not know who has the majority of the nodes. And here one more thing, what happens, the node running the DC, or you say like designated coordinator, has a shorter timeout than the other nodes. So if both the nodes running the DC, because both of them have the equal number of nodes and they created a partition, so in that case what will happen, one node will be shooting the other nodes, and it will be like both the nodes will do same thing. So what happens here, both the nodes will go down. So there is a special case for 2 node cluster. So in that case you need to make some other changes in your cluster configuration so that your cluster runs with 2 node. And here one thing you need to remember, so if you are having a partition created inside your cluster due to some failures, the nodes part of that partition can communicate with each other, but they cannot communicate with other partition nodes. Like suppose you have 2 nodes in one partition, so these 2 nodes can communicate with each other, but these 2 nodes cannot communicate with another 3 nodes which are part of another partition. So in that case what happens, both of them thinks like they are only alive, others are not alive. So in that case what happens, quorum comes into picture. So it helps you to have the majority of the nodes. So whoever has more number of nodes with it, they have the quorum with. So quorum is a requirement for fencing. So now what happens, so now your 3 nodes, they are clearly majority compared to 2 node partition. So that 3 nodes, they have the quorum and they will fence other partition nodes, so like those 2 nodes, so that there should not be any conflict in the cluster. So this quorum helps with that. So now moving ahead with the next part, that is the designing test cases. So now you understand what is the difference between 2 node and 2 plus n node cluster. Now when you deploy your cluster, obviously you need to design the cluster. So how you can design that test cases, that we will see here. So designing test cases involves like gathering requirements and possible failure scenario. So until unless you are clear with your requirements, it will be very difficult to design the test cases and see whether you are able to achieve those requirements or not. Also you need to have an understanding about possible failure scenarios, and also you need to have a walkthrough on the possible outcomes. So this can also identify cluster design improvements, like suppose you thought one implementation method may be good enough for the customer requirement, but then when you do a testing you find out, okay, that's not working. So you can have the improvement in that cluster because of testing it properly. So in a complex HA environment you may have several types of failures, and ranging from like software crashes to complete network or SAN infra outage, or even you can have like a hardware outage also. So your cluster must be able to handle all these kind of possible failures safely and without interrupting the customer business. So you have to implement and design like that. So to do that you should have the proper testing in place, and the testing scenario, like each you should have a testing scenario for each, comparing it like with the requirements and documenting the procedures, and it will enable efficient handling of failures. Commands to do the testing and also come to restore it back to the initial state for the cluster and resources, and you need to have the actions on resources or infrastructure, like what all actions you need to take to bring it back to the initial state or perform the testing. Also you need to have like what all resources you need. So these required resources like information to carry on the test, like what is the server details, what are the resource details, how to access, and all those information. And also you need to have the information about the people. Here people means the stakeholder, like the various support teams, owner, then SMEs, engineers. So those informations also you need to have handy when you are defining the cluster test. And once you have those things, you should understand what are the expected results and estimated time to recover. So when you are testing this cluster test, so you also document those time requirements for future reference. Like suppose you did a failover testing and you saw like it took some 10 to 15 minutes, so you document that, so that later when there is a automated failover due to some failures, or teams are testing the failover, so they can have the timing in hand and they can assure or communicate the same to customer, like it takes some 10 to 15 minutes to come back to normal state, so that customer also agrees with that. Else you need to again work on that and reduce the timing. And also you need to have the steps required to recover back to the initial sane state. So here, like suppose you did a failover testing, so it moved from node 1 to node 2, so you should know what all steps you need to perform to get it back into the node 1 again. So those things also you need to have. And here one more thing I need to tell you, like do not reinvent the wheel. So when you are doing the designing of test cases, do not write it by everything by yourself. Look for the example test cases from various platforms, like suppose you are implementing on AWS or Azure cloud, so they also provide some test cases, so you can look on that. Or suppose you are having SAP application hosted on the cluster, so you can look for SAP test cases, or if you are going with SUSE or Red Hat, their own test cases. And also sometimes your application provider provides the test cases, so those things you need to look. Now here one thing I to tell you, it's not always easy to find existing test cases, so you need to do some research and all, and also you have to modify as per your requirements. So once you are done with your designing of your test cases, you should be ready to perform the cluster test. And when doing the cluster testing, be patient, and it sometimes takes more time, so carefully wait for that each test to complete before coming into any conclusion. So give that time, and always check for cluster and resource for same state before proceeding with the test. So suppose you design like your application A should be running on node 1 and application B should be running on node 2. So when you are doing a testing, you should check whether node 1 having application A and node 2 having application B. So those things you need to always check before starting the testing. Also you need to document like test results with timestamp, and you have to always collect the output log so that you can keep it as an evidence. And also you need to record the timeline, like how much time is taking for each test. So why I am emphasizing on the time stamp and timeline, because timestamp, what happens, before you hand over, you do this testing and you take a screenshot, but you didn't take the timestamp. So later if some issue happens, your customer may come back and say like, no, you didn't test it before handover, this may be performed later, or you don't have any evidence on the time. So always capture evidence with timestamp so that you can prove, okay, on so and so date this was carried on. And if you are recording the timeline, you can show like for each step how much time it takes, so that later customer cannot blame like, okay, it is taking more time compared to whatever agreed. So have these things recorded. And once the test is completed, you need to recover back to the initial cluster state before handing over to the customer or proceeding with the next step. So once you are done with the performing cluster test, you need to moving with the actual testing and documentation. So for testing, you first install the POC cluster. Don't do directly on the production implementation. So to see whether your design and implementation will go as per the plan, you do a POC installation of the cluster, and try to use as much as possible to use some automated method to maintain the consistency, because sometimes you may need to implement the cluster for multiple times. So try to have some automated method, like use Ansible, or suppose if you are doing on virtual environment, take a snapshot so that you can go back to that state very easily. And always configure it as it is designed and in the plan. So because if you don't go as per the design, then whatever testing you are doing, that's not going to be foolproof, and your implementation may not be having the all the test cases covered. So in the POC, you do that as per the design, and you need to test each failure scenario in the testing matrix. And sometimes this testing matrix is nothing but like what all test cases or failures you want to cover. And before each test, you need to check the cluster status. It should be as per the initial design state, so that you need to check. And when you are testing the cluster using the scenarios from the matrix, there is a chance that you may see some improvements or some deviations. So you need to also update the matrix as per the testing results. And also you need to document the results with evidence and timestamp, so that you can produce the same for further analysis and to customer reference, like your POC was successful with all the test cases. Once you are done with the testing, you need to have the documentation. You need to create document for each of the failure scenarios which you tested, and this documentation should include checks to be performed to ensure the service availability. Like, okay, suppose you did a failover testing, like if your one node is down, you should failover to another node, and all your applications should be available. So that application functionality testing and all should be there, and steps to be performed to rectify the failures, how you can recover from that failure, and procedure to return back the cluster to the ideal state after any failure occurs. Like suppose it was running on node 1, it moved to node 2, how you can take it back again to node 1. That procedure also you should document. And please remember, well designed test cases with documented outcomes and procedures are very helpful in case of there is a pressure environment and scenario when actual failure occurs. Like you may have a tight deadline to recover the server. So if you have proper well documented procedures, it will be easy for the support engineer to recover back the cluster. So please keep in mind while doing documentation, so and try to make it as comprehensive as possible, and ensure the documentation is always available for the staffs and they know how to access it. So you made a document and you put every scenarios and you put all the procedures, but you forgot to share it with the support team, or they don't know how to access it, or they don't know there is a documentation available, then entire effort goes to toss. So they should know how to access it and where is it and what all procedures are available in the documentation, so that they can use it effectively. So that's all for this episode. Thank you for watching this lengthy episode and going through all these requirements, how you can fulfilling it. And once again, I'm just giving you a kind reminder, like if you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to it, so that you get notification about upcoming videos. So bye, have a good day, we'll see you in our next video.